تمام. تمام. فحكينا ال MPH degree هي عبارة عن degree that studies the full spectrum of public health. مع إنه at some point أنت بال MPH you have to يعني you have to go through a certain track. You have to pick a track where you subspecialize. Research or research skills, you will learn some research skills, you will learn epidemiology, you will learn some biostatistics, but this is يعني it's a byproduct. It will come through the experience that you will have in the MPH program. كمان ال MPH program, it focuses on a hand-on work. فواحد من ال biggest differences إنه عشان أنت تتخرج من MPH program, you need to have a capstone project. لازم يكون عندك مشروع تخرج. مشروع تخرج هو بيكون إشي بالفيلد. مش رسالة ماجستير اللي هو الإشي اللي مش thesis يعني. فإتس more of a hands-on work. الماستر of science on the other hand, the primary focus تبعها هو research skills, more of a biostatistics heavy programs بالعادة, وبتكون programs tailored إنها تعلمك coding أكثر, تعلمك more of a technical skills بالresearch أكثر, عشان تصنع منك يعني more of an epidemiologist and more of a biostatistician. So much of the knowledge you will gain in the MS program will be theoretical, and it's also most of the time it's tailored toward your research interests. فممكن انت تلاقي MS programs focused على aspect معين بالoncology, أو MS programs focused على مثلا clinical trials بالcardiology. فبالعادة بتكون شوي a narrow spectrum. كمان مرة the biggest difference بين ال MPH programs والMS programs إنه ال MPH is considered a terminal degree. It's a professional degree زي ال MD. MD you go out of the MD program, you start working as an MD. فال MPH expectation إنه once you graduate, it's a terminal program, it's a professional degree. فأنت you go out to the field to practice. مع إنه that's not the reality all the time. The Master of Science is usually many people who take a Master of Science, they either stop or they continue to pursue a doctorate degree, مثل Doctorate of Public Health. So it's not a professional degree, it's not a terminal degree. الفرق بين ال MPH وال MS degrees من ناحية timeline, both degrees almost have the same timeline. On average, they require 2 years to complete the degrees. The topics of the study, they're pretty much similar. فال MPH بتركز على epidemiology, على public health, على administration والpolicy, biostatistics, كمان بتركز على environmental health والbehavioral والsocial sciences. ال MS same things except في focus أكثر على research methodology وفي focus أكثر على health informatics. Educational requirements, both degrees require you to have a bachelor degree. مع إنه راح نحكي كيف إنه بعض ال MPH programs they want you to have a doctorate degree. راح نحكي عنها كمان شوي. كمان فرق أساسي بين ال MPH وال MS programs إنه ال MPH programs بالعادة they require you to have a prior work experience. Unlike ال MS programs. فال MPH programs they بالعادة بيطلبوا منك إنه يكون عندك 3 years experience أو مثلا 5 years experience in field related to the public health. All of us as physicians يعني any internship أنت شغلك as a resident, all of that qualifies as you're working in public health. الفرق الرابع إنه ال MPH هي عبارة عن field-based research or a capstone project is required by the end of your MPH degree. فأنت لازم تعمل مشروع تخرج بالعادة بيكون field-based research يعني research project تبعك بيكون something related يعني to a healthcare problem or مشكلة عندك أنت بالمستشفى يعني you have to something more practical. بينما ال MS degree it's more of a writing and defending a thesis. طبعا ال job opportunities are pretty much the same. They are open and wide in both fields, industry, government, NPOs, research, etc. كمان مرة ال MPH programs بعض الفيلدز اللي بتغطيها biostatistics, chronic disease epidemiology, environmental health sciences, epidemiology of microbiology, health policy is a big one, healthcare management, social and behavioral sciences. MS شوي أكتر biostatistics, implementation and prevention of science, and also data science and health informatics. فبتحس إنه في أكتر هنا quantitative skills are more required بال MS degrees. طيب, once you make a decision that you want to pursue an MPH degree, the next step is to decide what track you want to go بال MPH. زي ما حكينا ال MPH are not all the same. يعني مثلا أنا لما عملت ال MPH, my MPH was in epidemiology. That's it. That's my track. That's my pathway. That's my specialization. فأنا الكورسز اللي راح أخذها ما راح تكون يعني heavy بhealth policy وبadministration. ما راح تكون heavy بأشياء لها علاقة بالenvironmental health. فهذا distinction is very important. MPH degrees are not all the same. You have to know your niche, you have to know your interest and your need, and based on that, you have to make a decision which track in the MPH you have to pursue. Sorry. فمعظم الناس أو معظم الأطباء الأردنيين اللي بأمريكا اللي أنا يعني I met I talked to them, يعني the most two appealing fields كانوا الepidemiology والbiostatistics. لأنه هم هدول ال two fields اللي they set you up. يعني معظم الناس اللي go that route are interested in يعني in an academic route, academic career. They want to be يعني independent investigators. They want to run their own research. فالbiostatistics والepidemiology tracks are the most attractive for them. في ناس كثير كمان the second most attractive كان الهيلث بوليسي والادمنستريشن للناس اللي interested انها to go up in the hierarchy او يكون لها administrative role بالمستشفيات. فالهيلث بوليسي والادمنستريتيف track is the second pathway. الشيء الثاني اللي I want to highlight انه the structure of the MPH programs. So MPH programs in the United States have different structure and different way in disseminating the courses. ففي عندنا الاونلاين programs, في عندنا الاون campus programs, وفي عندنا الهايبريد programs. فالاون campus programs هي regular MPH degree بالعاده بتكون سنه بدل سنتين compared to the online programs. وطبعا it has its own advantage انه basically you are living on the campus, انت full-time student. You have a whole 1 year on the campus. You have to go to the courses. You have يعني you are a full-time student in a master program. فبالتالي it can be less convenient لكثير ناس يمكن بيسمعونا اليوم بالاودينس كMDs كأطباء كresidents كfellows كattendings. It's less lucrative, it's less flexible, and but it's available for people who want to have some sort of a pause in their career and do 1 year on-campus program. The advantage that you will get with on-campus program is networking, and this is a big deal. Networking is a huge part of your graduate school. يعني MPH يعني one of the biggest advantages إنه you're gonna know people who are يعني very successful in their fields across the country, across the world. وإنتوا يعني you become one group, one cohesive group. و you're gonna يعني it's gonna be يعني a unique networking experience. الشيء الثاني أو الادفانتج الثاني من ال on-campus programs هي research opportunities. You are on campus, you are full-time student. يعني you can jump on so many ongoing research projects going بالdepartments اللي انت بتشتغل فيها او department اللي انت student فيها. It's very easy to get connected to a research project or to a mentor and to start working with them on a research project. الشيء الثالث كمان انه البوندينج لما تكون انت on campus بيكون مختلف. It's easier to get a letter of recommendation. And finally, you have a real life experience. You are on campus, you are in the city, you are living there. It's just a full-time experience on campus. On the other hand, في عندنا الاونلاين programs. الاونلاين programs موجوده بامريكا، موجوده بكثره. It has its own advantages and disadvantages. فواحده من البيج advantages طبعا اللي هو ultimate flexibility. فانت you don't have to travel. انت you get admitted to that program. And basically all your courses, all your online education, all your seminars, all your didactics, it's all online. امتحاناتك online. الهوم وركس، البورد ديسكشنز، كل شيء انت بتعمله اونلاين. Usually it's a 2-year program as opposed to 1-year program on campus. وطبعا يعني the only thing that people get worried about يعني واحد من disadvantages بالاونلاين programs انه النتوركينج opportunities طبعا راح تكون limited، الريسيرش opportunities طبعا راح تكون limited، يعني the opportunity to make a lifelong meaningful relationship professional relationship راح تكون طبعا اقل. الشيء الثاني كمان اللي a downside of online programs انه هاي programs some people have a negative perception of it or some people call it a fake degree, which is not true. Online education is blossoming across the world خاصة مع الكورونا. فموضوع إنه how some programs or some people or some, يعني how they perceive an online degree is variable. So this is something يعني to be cautious about. عبد الله أنت معنا على can you hear us عبد الله?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you tell us a little bit about your online experience بما إنك you're doing your program online?
Yeah, زي ما حكى أحمد يعني الأونلاين experience يعني is different than in person. بس إنه it's very flexible. بعدين يعني still you have the chance يعني to interact individually. يعني لما تكون in person ممكن تشارك ممكن ما تشارك، بس they force you to be in groups و discussions وإنك لازم تشارك بكل محاضرة. فهذا يعني it has a good effect على يعني your personality والإلقاء وإنك تكون independent وتحكي وتعمل الهوموركس. وأهم إشي الفلكسبيليتي يعني being a resident إنه بيصح لك إنه يعني ممكن تعتذر، ممكن تحضر المحاضرة وأنت مسكر الكاميرا. يعني ياما حضرت محاضرات وأنا كنت مثلا on call and ويعني انه اتس ريكوردد كمان، فانه يعني ممكن يعني ترجع تفتح على المحاضره اذا في شغله مش فاهمها او يو مس ذا ليكتشر and still يعني it has a good impact من ناحيه connection. اكيد مش زي in person but still يعني your mentor knows you well. They have a cap for the number of students each lecture. فيعني مثلا بeach class مثلا ممكن 15 ممكن 12 يعني around this number. they will know you well and it gave me the chance to connect يعني my mentors especially based statistics or research إنه يعني to start a relationship. خاصة إنه مثلا لما كنت a student عندها يعني she got me out قالت لي شارك معي meta analysis. لسه يعني ما طلعنا بالبيبر أو أي إشي but this is a big chance إنه يعني to move forward to start to build up more connection.
تمام. وعبد الله انت بلشت بالاونلاين بروجرام تبعك وانت ريزيدنت. فيو applied as a resident. You started as a resident بتف.
sorry عن النويز بس لاني طالع. I started as a resident زي ما انت حكيت at the end of first year يعني it was in May. وزي ما انت حكيت it's important بالفيرست year انك تشتغل to work hard لانه هي most important year بريزيدنسي. It will build up your clinical skills يعني second or third year as a senior. وبعدين always بالريزيدنسي the first impression is the last impression. So you want to do well بالفيرست year then you can move forward and pursue other stuff to multitask. It was the best decision I made. وكنت خلص يعني سينيور عندي flexibility عندي التايم اني اقدر اعملها. وزي ما انت حكيت يعني average 20 months ممكن تعملها اكثر 18 months ممكن تمد اكثر. يعني انا مثلا كنت full time واللي هو معناته 3 courses 9 credit hours. ويعني معظم اللي معي بارت تايم بسبب شغلهم وانا ستيل برغم اني ريزيدنت I could do it full time. وستيل I managed to get GPA 4. بتذكر كنت بحكي مع زياد بقول لي يعني انه يعني you are spending much effort اذا يعني بتجيب هيك معدل وانت ريزيدنت يعني you don't have to get 4. بس تعرف احنا بعقليتنا ودافع مصاري فبتقول يعني I wanna ace it. فيعني even لما I put minimal effort بالnext term still I get 4. I think the major decision إني last 2 semesters بس نزلت 1 course ممكن لأني قدمت step 3 هلأ مقدم على fellowship بس بحس ميجرلي ممكن كان فاينانشال، ما كنت شايف حالي حابب ادفع هيك مبلغ، وستيل يعني انا يعني I moved forward يعني quickly، فانه معي time I can finish next term او by finishing residency. ف it's very doable, very flexible, ويعني إلها impact منيح كمان ب your program. يعني they respect I did that و able to multitask. لما رحت electives برضه all the cardiologists يعني they respected doing that. ويعني بتفتح عندك مداركك يعني الاشياء كثير بالببليك هيلث وبالريسيرش. يو كان بيلد اب يور بيسز بالاناليسيز وتعمل اندبندنت ريسيرش، لانه ماجورتي في الريسيرش اللي بنعمله بالهوسبيتالز يعني كوهورت وريفيوز وكذا، يعني it doesn't require much skill، بس بدك هاي الانترودكشن هاد تو كورسز.
طيب
يعني انا مثلا بالديجري
عبد الله dissemination method انه it's an online program. Did you feel انه this compromised your experience and by how much؟ يعني هل انت حسيت انه والله no I should have done an on-campus degree، انا دافع وانا يعني I'm dedicating this time to studying. Did you regret doing it online؟ Did you have any did you feel يعني your educational experience was compromised by the fact that it's an online program؟
No, not at all. الصراحة لأن يعني all my mentors knows me well. حتى لما أجي على next term بيقولوا والله سمعنا عنك كذا، إنه يعني أنا resident و I'm doing well. they know me well. Still البروجرام بيعطيك كل السورسز اللي you can use زيك زي in campus. وزي ما أنا حكيت إنه يعني I was able to connect مع my mentor وأبلش مع حابب project. هلا بيعتمد على your time. يعني I was trying to reach out لكارديولوجيست بيعملوا trials بتفت، بس بعدين I didn't pursue more لأنه بيعتمد برضه على your priorities وشو أنت بتشتغل أشياء. إنه ما هو برضه commitment، بس إنه يعني أنت عندك الأكسس من السكول، عندك الإيميل. they can help you اصلا نفسهم your الدكتورز او التي ايز اللي بيدرسوا they can connect you مع ناس بالفيلد. يعني انا مثلا قالوا انترستيف كارديولوجي في دكتور فلان بيشتغل هيك شغل، they are friend of mine، ممكن مثلا اتواصل لك معهم، خاصه لانه يعني ممكن هدول الدكاتره تاعونك already expert بالفيلد و they need them in some research projects، فتلاقيهم بيشتغلوا مع بعض. فانا كمان هاي من الميجر يعني reasons اني اخترت تافتس، لانه part of the medical school يعني مش separate public health school. فبتلاقي في physicians، nephrologists، cardiologists، infectious disease بيعطوا ممكن حصص او بيشاركوا بموتشوال بروجكتس كبيج تيم.
تمام شكرا عبد الله. طيب حكينا شوي عن الاونلاين بروجرامز وحكينا عن الاون كامبس بروجرامز. I want to highlight يعني the middle ground which is the hybrid programs، واللي كثير ناس ما بيعرفوا عن هاي البروجرامز وما بيعرفوا how it works. فبasically a hybrid program هو عبارة عن MPH program where it's a mixture, it's a blend between an on-campus and online program. 70-80% of your courses are online and the 20 to 30% are on campus in the form of very intense sessions. زي ما هلا راح اورجيكم بعض البروجرامز الهايبريد بروجرامز كيف الستراكشر تبعها بتكون عباره عن انت طول السنه you are doing an online courses، بس في عندك مثلا 3 اسابيع you come on campus، وهدول ال3 اسابيع you literally work from 7 to 5، فبسموهم intensivist يعني intense sessions. فالhybrid programs هي very unique programs in the fact that it's a blend of an on-campus, online, in addition to the field learning. زي ما حكينا ال MPH they require you to have a capstone that's a field capstone. But still, even if you are doing a hybrid program, you have to do this field learning. And الhybrid programs هي programs زي ما حكيت يعني بتجمع بين advantages of the on-campus and online programs. You can advance your career, you can gain powerful new tools in research and policy making without leaving your current job. This is the advantage. And it combines the best of both and is designed to fit the lives of busy professionals. And this is extremely important one. الناس اللي بال MPH programs اللي هم عبارة عن hybrid programs هم كلهم بيكونوا ناس advanced بالكارير تبعتهم. يعني ما راح تلاقي واحد مخلص بكالوريوس و applies to an MPH program in the hybrid format. They will not accept him لانه هاي البروجرامز ديزاين للناس اللي هم عباره عن busy professionals and they need this kind of a structure. فراح تلاقي على الويب سايت تبع هاي البروجرامز انه واحد من الريكوايرمنت انه انت يكون عندك يا some sort of a doctoral degree, MD, PhD, DO, GD, etc. And this is a requirement most of the time to apply to such programs. فانت لما تدخل على هاي البروجرامز راح تشوف انه الكوهورت اللي معك هم عباره عن يعني بالعاده بيكونوا 70-80% منهم MDs physicians. راح تلاقي انه a good proportion of them are عباره عن fellows, عباره عن attendings, عباره a very few of them might be residents. بس the overall perception هم ناس بالميد كارير تبعتهم as opposed to the other traditional MPH, the on-campus MPH واللي هي عباره عن بتكون يعني a mixture of both. So this is a big distinction I wanted to highlight. الشيء الثاني اللي بدي احكيه هو انه كل الببليك هيلث سكولز بامريكا فيها on-campus programs. Few of them or some of them has online programs منها مثلا جامعة جورج واشنطن, جون هوبكنز, University of North Carolina, University of Alabama, Tufts University. يمكن في 20, 25, 30 programs that have an online MPH. But if you look for hybrid programs, there's only very few of them. Or most of these MPH programs that are a hybrid, they are all almost new or very new. مثلا I'm only aware of those 4 programs. بس إذا حدا يعني came through other hybrid programs بأمريكا يعني let me know. ففي عندك الهارفارد يونيفرسيتي عندهم program MPH epidemiology. it's only one track in epidemiology. John Hopkins has a hybrid program too. على فكرة Hopkins كانت أول جامعة يعني that launches this kind of a structured MPH programs. في كمان Oxford University عندهم Master of Science in Clinical Investigations. It's a very new program as well. رح نحكي عنه كمان شوي. وفي كمان Yale University عندهم شيء اسمه Executive MPH program. فالهايبريد programs هي عبارة عن new programs. It's mostly يعني it's very restricted to 4 or 5 programs across the country. For your application يعني your list of programs are limited. راح ابلش احكي عن اول هايبريد بروجرام اللي هو الهارفارد THN School of Public Health Program, the MPH on Epidemiology Program, اللي هو البروجرام اللي انا كنت فيه من 2019 ل 2021. هذا البروجرام هو عباره عن MPH program. It's a 45 credit hour program. You take this MPH over 2 years. I think this is the wrong slide. I think this is the wrong slide. This is the correct slide. فال MPH program هو program بلش بال 2015. It's a 45 credit hour program. It's a 2-year program وهو عبارة عن hybrid program بين الأونلاين والأون كامبس. Tuition fee لهذا البروجرام it's an expensive program. It's $74,000. راح نحكي عن أكثر بالتفاصيل لما نيجي للفندنج. وبيسكلي زي ما حكيت هو program designed للناس للبروفيشنالز. فالكلاس تبعنا كان عبارة عن at least 75% of it MDs, whether residents, fellows or attendings. And I actually was the only resident at that time. كان معنا كمان ناس من تخصصات مختلفة. Most of them has some sort of PhD degrees. فكان ناس معنا من الفارماسي, nutritionist, biologist and an architect too. كل سنة هذا البروجرام باخذ 40 ل 50 students. It's a very diverse cohort. تقريبا 30% من الناس اللي بالكوهورت هم بيكونوا internationals. كان كثير معنا ناس من كندا, كان معنا ناس من أستراليا, كان معنا من أوروبا, كان معنا very few from the Middle East. I think it was me and there was a Jordanian doctor بيشتغل بدبي, بكليفلاند كلينيك بدبي. كان يعني we were the only people from the Middle East. This is the kind of this is the structure of the program. طبعا البروجرام بيتطلب منك انك تكون يعني we'll talk about this in a minute. بس يعني بيتطلب منك at least 10 to 12 hours per week of studying at home او يعني some sort of homeworks or assignments او something in that context. وهذا البروجرام it's not open for medical students. It's not open for dental students. You have to have some sort of either a prior extensive experience in public health, or you have to have either an MD degree or a PhD degree. فكل الأطباء اللي خلصوا mid school من الأردن they are eligible to this program. The program الديدلاين تبعه December 1st. You only have one application cycle per year. You have to submit your application by December 1st. والresults of the admission process تطلع بمارش 15 بعد تقريبا 4 أشهر ونص. You start your course المارتيكيوليشن بتبلش انت بجون 1st. طبعا في ناس كثير سألوني عن موضوع الفيزا. هلا if you are in Jordan and you are coming from outside the US and you are accepted at this program, the program will sponsor you on an F1 visa. فأنت you will come on a student visa. بس إذا أنت مثلا زي I am on J1 visa, أنت you are a resident, you are a fellow, you are an attending in the US, you can attend on your J1 visa. يعني I communicated with the ECFMG multiple times to just clarify this. You know, they don't mind it. There is no there is no objection from the ECFMG to pursue such degrees in the US during residency. فأنت on J1 visa, always try to clarify that ECFMG is okay with you doing an MPH while you are in the US. I communicated with them multiple times وما كان عندهم أي مشكلة إنك to pursue that on a J1 visa. This is the timeline of the course. زي ما حكيت هو عبارة عن 2 years program. فأنت بالسنة الأولى you start on June 1st, you start on campus. And on campus عادة بشهر 6 بتبلش for 21 days, 3 to 4 weeks. It's a very intense on-campus courses, 5 to 6 days a week, from 7 a.m. to almost 5 p.m. every day. يعني خلال هدول الثلاث أسابيع they get you a very strong foundations للكوريكولم تبع الماسترز of public health, للإبيديميولوجي, للبايوستاتستكس. يعني بتحس إنه you have been studying for 4 months actually. وهدول الثلاث أسابيع are 10 credit hours. فأنت يعني تخيل 1/4 of your degree you got it done in those 3 weeks. This is important. You start in June. By the end of June, you leave the campus, you go back to your program. Is it resident or is it fellow or attending? You go back to what you have been doing, and you get started immediately on your online courses. In July, in August, بعديها بتكمل في September, December. In January, بيعطوك option if you want to pursue an online courses. It's optional. You don't have to be online. Only those 3 weeks in June, it's mandatory for you to be on campus. بعد هيك, the whole academic year, you don't have to be on campus, but you can too if you want to. فالسنة الأكاديمية بتخلص الأكاديميك year بتخلص بشهر 5 in June, the second year starts, and again you have to come back on campus for another 3 weeks. Again, you get another 10 credit hours within 3 weeks of very intense courses. وبعديها بتكمل the rest of the year online لحد نهاية السنة الثانية بشهر May, where you come again. This time you come to present your capstone, your thesis, whatever, your graduation project. وبهذا الأسبوع you only have to come for 1 week وبتتخرج بهذا الأسبوع. Basically, if you look at it, you got almost 50% of your credit hours on campus. لأنه أنت أخذت بجون أخذت 10 credit hours. السنة الثانية بجون you got another 10 hours. وبماي you came for your capstone, you get another 5 hours. So you get 25 out of your 45 credit hours on campus. And this is why this degree is not, يعني أنت لما تأخذ الديجري you cannot distinguish if this is يعني there is no distinction بالشهادة بين الهايبريد program والفولي on campus program. نفس ال courses, it's just the way it is structured in a way that give you this luxury. طبعا you can do as many on campus courses as you want. Mostly بشهر واحد. طيب الكوريكولم تبع الام بي اتش، وهون انا عم بورجيكم الكوريكولم تبع الام بي اتش بهارفارد. بتكون من 3 components. الكومبوننت الاول اللي هو الكور كوريكولم، بمعنى اخر متطلبات. you have to take these courses. كل الناس اللي بالpublic health school have to take these courses. بعديها في عندك a bunch of electives where you can design your own schedule. والكومبوننت الثالث اللي هو الفيلد ستدي او مشروع التخرج او الكابستون. هدول together they make up to 45 credit hours. ف some of the basic core curriculum competencies اللي الماستر of public health require you to take include some introduction to epidemiology and biostatistics, some foundation for public health, MPH qualitative methods for public health. كمان بيعطوك كورس عن ال healthcare systems باليو اس، بيعطوك كورس عن ال leadership وعن ال communication، بيعطوك كورس عن ال social وال behavioral وال structural determinants of health, a very nice course. وfinally بيعطوك a course about policy and politics. So these are mandatory. Once you get those done, you jump on the electives. And once you jump on the electives, you can design your own curriculum. They have dozens of courses based on your interests, based on your career goal. You can build your own curriculum. بتحب انت تركز. يعني I was very interested in research and methodology and statistics. I picked up مثلا courses related to linear longitudinal regression. Other aspects ممكن انت مثلا I picked up some of these courses. مثلا analysis of publicly available databases. إذا حدا فيكم بيشتغل على ال NIS وال NRD databases، هذه it's a treasure for research. A lot of people. فهنا في course بيعلمك how to use these public databases to generate to basically to establish evidence, to generate some papers, some products out of it. Some of the courses مثلا لها علاقة بالdesign and conduct of clinical trials. I took this course, very interesting course. كمان في عندك courses لها علاقة بالsystematic review and meta analysis. So they teach you all of these things. أنا interested بهذا الفيلد بالresearch بالstatistics. I design my schedule in a way that I want to pick up all these courses that I think will push my career or my interests further. وكل واحد من هدول الكورسز لازم يكون بنهاية الكورس، يعني you take each of these courses over 4 months، لازم يكون عندك a research project coming out of this course. يعني إذا أنت أخذت course meta analysis, by the end of the semester you work on a meta analysis project throughout those 4 months. فأنت you have to have a research product coming from each of these courses. نفس الشيء. If you are taking analysis of publicly available databases, by the end of the course, you have to come out with some sort of a product, an abstract, a manuscript, whatever, using these databases, the NIS and NRD databases and HCAP databases, etc. So it sets you up in a very nice way. There is a very long list of potential courses based on your interest. إذا أنت أكثر interested مثلا بالgrant writing, بالfunding of research, you can take more courses in that aspect. If you're interested in biology of antibiotics, you can focus on that. If you're interested مثلا in genetic association studies, there's a long list of endless courses that you can add on to your package. Right. This is a sample of the one of the curriculum. Like once you pick up your courses, this is how many courses you take. Almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, almost 16, 17 courses. Right. This is my experience بهارفارد. طبعا you have an access to a portal. هذا البورتال, this is how you communicate with your school. All the courses information are uploaded on this portal. You can communicate with your professors, with your teaching attending, with your cohort through this portal. كل lectures اللي أنت بتاخدها are recorded and uploaded on this portal, and there's endless number of resources on this portal. But this is my experience with MPH بهارفارد. I don't know if anyone has any question regarding this program.
I think, Ahmed, you should mention about SOFAs and how to look up programs.
I'm coming.
Okay.
I'm coming to it. The second program اللي حابب أحكي عنه really briefly اللي هو Master of Science in Clinical Trials بجامعة Oxford. This is a very unique program. I think I skipped the slide that talks about it. هو عبارة عن a new program only focuses on clinical trial. on clinical trials. وهذا البروجرام هو عبارة عن 45 credit hour program. It's a hybrid program of an online and on-campus training. It's very unique in the sense that this is one of the very few structured programs that will teach you and educate you on how to conduct clinical trials. يعني إذا بتدور أنت بكل schools of public health بيكون في course about clinical trials، بيكون في يعني a couple of courses، بس ما في curriculum designed عشان يطلع منك a trialist, someone who is an expert in clinical trials. And we know nowadays that clinical trials are has the highest level of evidence, has the highest level of evidence in providing evidence. فالناس اللي interested بالclinical trials can look at this program. This program is very unique. It's very new. It was launched in 2020. And I think this is the only program provided by Oxford University that adopts an online and on-campus format. يعني this is, I think, the only program that Oxford has فيه هذا الstructure. هذا البروجرام is a collaboration between the European Society of Cardiology and Oxford University. Although إنه البروجرام هو established by European Society of Cardiology, it's not restricted to people who are interested in cardiology. I feel if you are interested in cardiology, this is going to be one of the it's going to be a very nice combination for you. But if not, that should not preclude you from applying. فأنا honestly when I finished my MPH, I wanted to learn more about clinical trials, بالcardiology كل شيء based on clinical trials. I'm hoping to become a trialist at some point. I found this a very nice combination of A, it gives you a solid education about clinical trials. B, it connects you to leaders trialists in the world. والشغله الثالثه انه it's focused on cardiology, فit fits my needs. والشغله الرابعه كمان انه I can do it throughout my fellowship. فكل هاي الاشياء اجت مع بعض ويعني I couldn't resist the urge اني to apply to this program. الشغله الثانيه المميزه فيه ان التويشن fees are not as high as what we see in the US. يعني بامريكا كل البروجرامز الام بي اتش والام اس سي بروجرامز الرينج تبع التويشن فيز between 40 50 60 $70,000. فاذا انت بتحكي عن هارفارد وجون هوبكنز التويشن فيز فيها بوصل 70 و$80,000، بينما البروجرام هذا من اوكسفورد تويشن فيز $20,000. So it's still it's a big amount of money، بس it's still more manageable I guess. الشغله الثانيه كمان انه they have funding حسب ما سمعت ل 50% of the applicants. ف 50% of the people who get admitted and accepted will get an educational fund from the European Society of Cardiology. So this is another advantage. I know we are almost an hour in, but we'll try to speed up. The structure تبع هذا البروجرام إنه you have to come only 1 week for a residential session at the University of Oxford. وبعديها في عندك a second optional face-to-face 3-day session, and the rest of the year it's all online. It's a distance learning. On their website, they mention it seems to be it's a more of an intense course, and they require you to do like 15 to 20 hours of work per week. And basically, as I said, you will be working with trialists, people who are national expert and international experts in clinical trials, which should give you an edge if you are interested in this thing. So it's a 2-year program. حكينا it was started in 2020. Collaboration between European Society of Cardiology and Oxford. They admit 35 students per year. So the cohort is pretty much small. It's a small cohort. I think we talked about all of these aspects, and this is their 8 online modules. So they will teach you about the principles of randomized clinical trials. They will teach you about ethical frameworks for clinical trials. They will teach you about design and implementation of trials. They will teach you about data management and analysis. They will teach you about big data and new technologies. They'll teach about different designs of trials and trials in particular populations. And finally, they will teach you about economics and outcome measures in addition to meta-analysis for randomized clinical trials. I can't finish this talk without mentioning Johns Hopkins University. طبعا Johns Hopkins for so many years is ranked as the #1 public health school. So I cannot skip talking about Johns Hopkins. And when I applied for my MPH, I applied for 2 programs. I applied for Johns Hopkins and Harvard. And I received an acceptance from both programs. And it was really a tough decision to decide between both schools. كل واحدة إلها, both of them are very strong schools and they have very strong curriculum. Each one يعني provide you with a unique experience. The disadvantage طبعا ال MPH program بجون هوبكنز هو an on-campus online. They have an on-campus program, they have an online program, they have a hybrid program. بس the disadvantage of this program, it's a more taxing program. It's an 80 credit hours as opposed to almost every other MPH degree is 45 degrees. الشغله الثانيه بجون هوبكنز انه it's a very expensive program. It's an $85,000 which is the most expensive program بكل ال MPH programs. البروجرام الثاني اللي حابب احكي عنه قبل تفتس اللي هو University of Pittsburgh. I don't know if we have زياد online.
موجود online.
كيفك زياد؟ Thanks for joining us.
تمام اسف اضطريت اطلع على الشغل.
Yeah, I know you have a shift, so we want to hear your voice before you sign off.
تمام.
احكي لنا عن الاكسبيرينس تبعتك بيونيفرسيتي اوف بيتسبرغ واحكي لنا شوي عن يعني you did an on campus MPH degree بجامعه بيتسبرغ بنسلفانيا واحكي لنا كيف كانت الاكسبيرينس وبالاخص انه كمان احكي لنا شوي عن الفندنج and how did you manage to fund it.
اكيد موضوع الاون كامبس انت غطيته بشكل كويس اللي هو الادفانتجز النتوركينج. الحلو بالاون كامبس انه كيف بالريزيدنسي you're gonna get put on the spot بالحصه عشان تجاوب ودائما تشارك. الاون كامبس المنيح فيه انه you're always on the spot فبتضطر تشتغل اكثر. الماستر تبعي كان ان كلينيكال ريسيرش فكل معي كانوا زي ما حكيت يا ريزيدنس يا فيلوز يا اتندنج. فهدول معظمهم بيكونوا بالكلينيكال ساينتست تراك يعني they're legit scholars. فانت بتكون تحاول تصير على مستواهم. فلما تكون اون كامبس تقدرش والله انه خلص اليوم جاء بالي اشارك خلص حقعد على الكمبيوتر ومش هشارك كثير. لا بالاون كامبس دائما بتضطر تشارك. موضوع النتوركينج صار في عندي كثير اصحاب من الماسترز بنفس الوقت وكلهم عندنا كومن انترست يعني اكثر من حدا ساعدني بموضوع الماتش. الاتندنجز لسه بيحكوا معي مرات كثير مرات بساعدهم بالبروجكتس تبعتهم. موضوع انه اذا انت انترست بفيلد معين وانت ستودنت وان كامبس اسهل بكثير انهم تو انتجريت ان بروجكت عشان بكل بساطه خلص ممكن تحكي مع المنتور تبعك ويدبر لك اجتماع مع شخص بالفيلد اللي انت بدك اياه تشتغل. بالوقت الحالي اظن موضوع الاستجما على الاونلاين بروجرامز مش موجوده. فمع انه في الاون كامبس ادفانتجز وانا يعني حسيت حالي انه من ناحيه فاونديشنز فادتني بموضوع الفاونديشنز تبعت الريسيرش. حاليا بفضل انه اذا الواحد بيقدر يسوي يا هايبريد يا اونلاين بشجع الطلاب اكثر يسووا هيك. بس مجرد عشان احنا يا ناس مقدمين على الماتش او دكاتره عندنا كثير اشياء بنفس الوقت عم نسويها ومالتي تاسكينج من اهم الاشياء. زي ما حكى لك عبد الله كنت اقول له تركزش على الجي بي اي عشان you're gonna be over investing time. نفس الشيء you don't want to over invest الماسترز تبعك من ناحيه وقت. فمثلا من الاشياء اللي كانت تصير معي انه كان مرات كان يروح علي الجراند راوندز تبعت الامرجنسي ديبارتمنت عشان عندي حصه. فكنت اضطر مرات اضحي بالاشياء الكلينيكال عشان اروح احضر حصه الماسترز. فبالوقت الحالي انا اكيد مع انه كان كثير في له ادفانتجز الاون كامبس حاليا بشجع يا الواحد يروح يا هايبريد يا اونلاين بالوضع الحالي. يونيفرسيتي اوف بيتسبرغ من الاشياء اللي خلتني اروح على يونيفرسيتي اوف بيتسبرغ بانه بكل بساطه كنت بوست دوك هناك وهن they were willing to fund my masters. فهو من الاشياء اللي برضه من طرق الفاندنج اللي هي انك شغلتين ممكن تلاقي حدا يدفع عنك التويشن. واحد يا انك بالعاده البوست دوكس usually are covered the tuition من اول يوم ببلش البوست دوك بكثير محلات. الاوبشن الثاني انك اذا you get hired as a staff زي مثلا project coordinator research associate etc. كثير محلات depending على الانستيتوت ممكن بعد 6 اشهر تصير انت eligible للبنفيتس. فاذا حد من الشباب اللي مقدمين على الماتش او الصبايا بصير عنده opportunity انه والله they get hired as a research associate مش غلط يتفرجوا على البنفيتس ويشوفوا اذا بغطوا لهم الاديوكيشن benefits. usually it kicks in after 6 months at least. بس هذه من الطرق انه الواحد يحط اجره بطريق الماسترز قبل الريزيدنسي، واذا الواحد حابب يكمل بعدين ممكن يخلي هدول الكريدتس لبعدين. عم تحكي طبعا زي ما انت حكيت يعني الماسترز غالي بامريكا، فانت لما تحكي انه هن بغطوا لك تقريبا 90% as a staff or a postdoc، انت بدل ما تدفع 45,000 او 50,000 زي ما كان الماستر تبعي تدفع بالاخر $5,000. فموضوع الفندنج موضوع مهم خاصه للناس اللي بدهم يسووا ماسترز قبل الريزيدنسي، عشان الواحد قبل الريزيدنسي لساته فيش عنده شيء مضمون. فتو انفست ان ماسترز ديجري اوت اوف بوكيت قبل الريزيدنسي مش شيء ممكن اشجع عليه، بس عشانك يور انفستنج اتليست $50,000 اوت اوف بوكيت قبل ما يكون عندك شيء مضمون بامريكا، which is a big investment. You can find many ways to invest that money in a way that's gonna return لك شيء قبل ماتش اكثر من ماسترز.
حلو زياد. يعني انت حكيت عن it's one of the most interesting ways to fund your master degrees بامريكا اللي هو through your research grants. So basically
صح.
as far as I understand انه انت كنت research fellow ب UPMC و basically research mentor تبعك كان عنده I think RO1 grant or RO3 I don't know.
صح.
واحنا بنحكي عن هاي الجرانتس بتكون 2.7 million as far as I know يعني 2.5 million 2. يعني it's in millions, it can be in millions. And your mentor, he believed in you and sounds like you approached him and this is how he agreed to fund you. هيك اللي صار؟
مزبوط. المنتور كان من الناس اللي عم بشجعوني. المصاري ما بتروح من الجرانت، هذا من الشيء اللي بدي to emphasize انه انت طالما انت معين as a postdoctoral associate or a postdoctoral scholar it's covered by the postdoctoral associate or scholar office. في office اسمه postdoctoral office هن بغطوا عنك. it's part of the university. هن اللي بيدفعوا عنك المصاري، مش it doesn't hit the grant، اللي هو شيء مهم عشان مرات ممكن تحكي اوكي المنتور والله بدوش يدفع بدوش يروح هدول المصاري عشان يعلم حدا، بس it doesn't actually hit the grant. هاي المصاري بتروح من الجامعة او كأنه بعطوهم خصم للجامعة يعني basically عشانك انت بالاخر موظف جامعة. لما تكون بوست دوك انت موظف جامعة ومعاشك. تنساش انه البوست دوك بالعادة للبي اتش ديز، الناس مخلصين بي اتش ديز فيور اوريدي عم تدفع لهم معاش واطي بالنسبة لواحد مخلص بي اتش دي. بالعادة الافريج البوست دوك باخذ 50,000 بالسنة. فإتس a way to attract people to do a postdoc. فمعظم المحلات their postdocs they get benefits, they get education benefits. فkeep that in mind.
حلو. يعني زياد هاي نقطة مهمة. الفندنج ما بيجي من الجرانت، هو بيجي من السكول.
مزبوط، ما بيجي من
الدكتور
الجرانت
تبعك يعني he has no reason to say no if he wants to help you.
بالضبط، إلا من ناحية protected time. مرات ممكن يحكوا لك بدك protected time المنتور، هتحكي لهم بس مش هيعطوك protected time عشان انك حتشتغل يعني. بس انه بالعاده بدهم protected time which usually you're not gonna get. بدك تشتغل يعني.
فزيادة انت basically بتحكي لكل حدا عم بيعمل بوست دوك بامريكا انه try to approach your mentor وشوف شو في funding opportunities for your master programs at the يعني at the university where you're doing your research.
Totally. if اذا انت حاسس انه في عندك وقت لتسوي ماسترز و it's not gonna compromise the clinical exposure you're getting او research productivity 100% حاول انك تستعمل ال postdoc benefits at least to cover part of the coursework. عشانك ممكن من الاشياء اللي تسويها انه اذا انت والله عم بتقدم على الماتش لما تيجي تحكي موضوع الماتش تحكي لهم اوكي انا بنص الماستر تبعي وقربت اخلص يعني. مش ضروري تكون مخلص الماستر تبعك قبل ما تقدم على الماتش، ممكن تخلي هذا الكورس ورك للمستقبل يعني. فبكل بساطه ممكن خلال البوست دوك تاخذ شويه كورسز، تاخذ شويه بايوستاتستكس، تاخذ الفاونديشنز اوف ريسيرش، وبعدين بالمستقبل هدول الكورس ورك بضل مسجل عندك بالريكورد و you can transfer them over to a different institution مرات. فاذا حدا بيسوي في بوست دوك وبشوف انه عنده وقت مش غلط انه خاصه بالوقت الحالي where you can do online courses definitely حاولوا اسالوا اذا في عندكم education benefits.
زياد I know انه عندك شيفت ولازم تروح، بس يعني حابب اسالك سؤالين قبل ما تروح.
موجود، خذ راحتك.
السؤال الاول كان حكينا عن موضوع الفندنج، انا رح ارجع لموضوع الفندنج بالتفاصيل ويعني your case was one of the cases I wanted to discuss. الشيء الثاني اللي بدي اسالك عنه زياد، لانه انت قدمت على you took your master degree before the match، فانت you applied على الماتش وكان معك يعني you were doing your master degrees. فالسؤالي لك قبل ما to move forward is, do you think انه Master of Science in Clinical Investigations that you have done, did it help you to match? And if yes, by how much? And would that influence your decision to pursue a master degree in the future?
سؤال جدا صعب، عشان الشيء اللي بتقدرش تعرفه انه بتقدرش تاخذ الاشياء in isolation. فمثلا انا I was well published قبل ما اقدم على الماتش، فهل مثلا موضوع اني عندي ماستر ساعد؟ موضوع اني عشان already well published I'm already established as a scholar، صح؟ فانت لما تطلع على السي في تبعت حدا بتقول اوكي they're well published so they're interested in academics. الماسترز just a cherry on top، صح؟ هلا الشيء اللي بقدر احكي انه فادني بالماسترز انه انا مش حاسس حالي كثير مرات. احنا مرات الواحد بيسوي مثلا research و you get published بس you don't know the foundations. فبتروح مرات كانت كثير تصير مرات مع الشاب انه يكون في expectations من البروجرام اللي بتروح انت عليه، انه والله هذا الشاب عنده 10 مثلا publications اما يجي علينا فهيز gonna be an evidence based expert. هلا طبعا زي ما انت شفت الدكتور احمد انه مش بالضروره اذا الواحد يpublish 10 publications يعني you know the foundations. فاللي كان يصير كثير مرات مع الشباب انه they publish a little bit ويروحوا على البروجرامز they expect them to be better than they are in terms of scholarly productivity and in terms of understanding research. فانا
بالضبط يعني انا يعني I reiterate that. يعني انا لاني كنت مع زياد شغال sorry to interrupt بس يعني هاي نقطة مهمة من الميجر يعني factors اني قررت to pursue MPH epidemiology based statistics، اني حسيت there's something missing. يعني I don't know how to do the analysis. اوكي بعمل review of literature، بقرأ ال EKGs، بس there is something missing. يعني always dependent على زياد or someone with the degree to do it. فلما تروح على program they will expect you to know these stuff. فإنه doing such degree will help you to have these foundations.
كمان شغله
مشكور عبد الله.
if the program كمان بحس انه if you have the reputation in the program انه انت you are someone who is independent in his statistics and you can run your own projects, you will be يعني a target for people. راح يعني البروجكت بتبلش تنهمر عليك بالبروجرام تبعك لانه you are a rare currency. The fact that you know how to do coding, programming, doing statistics, you use some of these softwares, يعني you know how to use these publicly available databases, you know how to do meta-analysis for example. هاي كلها opens يعني it opens opportunities that you will never get if you don't have these skills. I think يعني I think you will notice this once you start your يعني once you advance in your residency زياد انه it opens يعني so many opportunities that you have not even imagined before.
بالضبط I agree. ومشكور على تدخل عبد الله عشان هو بالضبط هذه النقطة انه انا حاسس حالي هلا مرتاح انه هن they expect me to be productive to be a leader in research وحاسس حالي اني مرتاح لو باخذ هذا الرول. ف I can lead a project. هلا عشاني بعرف statistics بعرف methodology. لما اقعد احكي مع الاتندنجز هون بحس حالي ان انا مثلا مع نفس الليفل مع evidence based experts هون. we can also critically appraise literature. مرات كثير اللي بصير زي ما بقول انه الناس they publish بيروحوا على residency the residency expects you to be a true scholar بس الواحد ما بيكونش عنده الفاونديشنز بيعرف كيف الواحد يببلش. عشان عندك كنت مثلا عندك database وكنت تاخذ منها البيشنت داتا وعندك statistician بس مش بالضروره هذا يكون دائما موجود عندك بالريزيدنسي. فاتليست بالماستر it guarantees انك you're gonna be a leader بالريزيدنسي تبعتك. هل هذا الموضوع ساعدني بالريزيدنسي؟ ما بعرف عشان I already published. ما بعرفش اذا هن it added anything صراحه.
ما بعرف أنا I tried to do some reading, tried to come out with some ideas. The question is complex and I think there is no single answer to whether doing a master degree prior to the match will help you in the match. بس يعني
تدخل واحد ممكن. انا من الاشياء اللي شجعتني اسوي الماسترز اولها اني ما كنتش عارف قديش حكون published. I wasn't sure if I was gonna get published. اولها بتعرف الواحد اولها لسه مش فاهم الطبخه ومش متاكد اذا we're gonna get publication. اذا انت شفت حالك بمكان you're not getting published يعني you're not getting the stamp of approval انك انت والله you're a scholar. بدك تبلش تفكر كيف انك بدك تورجي انك you're a true scholar لما تقدم على الماتش. فمثلا اذا بتلاقي حالك المحل صار لك سنه وبجوز والله within the next year you're not gonna publish، خلص فرص الببليكيشن عندك مش كبيره، وقتها بتبلش تفكر انه اوكي بجوز لازم اسوي ماسترز بس عشان اورجي انه اوكي انا بعرف شو يعني ريسيرش وانه عندي الفاونديشنز للريسيرش. السؤال بصير اصعب لما تكون انت ويل ببلش عندك عدد كبير من الببليكيشنز.
totally. طيب يعني basically as I said يعني it's a tough question and there is no single right answer whether doing a master degree will help you enough to justify doing a master degree. It will definitely help, but by how much I don't know. Some of the ideas I have I believe the masters might help you in certain selected cases. يعني إذا أنت unmatched applicant يعني then you might want to consider doing a master's. If you are يعني if you have a certain niche and you know that you're going to have this interest in oncology, so you can do a master's that's only focused on that field. If you have a gap year, if you want to fill a gap year, or if you are an old graduate, I think those kind of applicants might benefit more from having a master degree as opposed to a fresh graduate with excellent scores, etc. الشيء الثاني كمان انه الماستر degree appreciation بيختلف اذا انت رايح على academic versus non-academic program. And honestly speaking, some of the non-academic programs, or most of them, they don't care if you do research or not. All what they care about, you're gonna be someone who's clinically good. They care about, you're covering, you're doing well with your patients, you're a good team player, etc. They don't care if you have 20 publications or 50 publications. They don't care if you have an MPH or a Master of Clinical Investigation, etc. يعني هاي التفاصيل كلها للبروجرامز اللي مش اكاديميك مش كتير مهمه. الشيء الثاني كمان انه الماستر ديجريز بتساعدك، يعني ممكن تساعدك بالماتش indirectly من خلال النتوركينج، من خلال الليترز، من خلال الريسيرش. كمان الماسترز، وانا هون راح اسال زياد عن الموضوع، الماسترز can be يعني a very cheesy talking point during the interview. It can be يعني a talking material. فانا بتذكر لما انا applied على الكارديولوجي fellowship, I think most of the programs that interviewed me have asked me extensively about my experience with MPH. I'm not sure if Ziad with us, but he can comment if he had similar experience. Most of the programs build cardiology, when I applied for fellowship, asked me about my MPH experience, especially that I have done it during residency. So this was an interesting thing for them. And it was a common talking point. Did you have a similar thing, Ziad?
هلا انا الفرق اتوقع بين الفellowship والريزيدنسي انه معظم الناس اللي قادمين معك كارديولوجي عندهم شويه ريسيرش كديجري، فيور ماستر stood out. انا اوريدي ماي ريسيرش stood out. الامرجنسي ميديسن مش من الفيلدز اللي فيها كثير ريسيرش، فاوريدي البرودكتيفيتي تبعتي كانت above average، فكان معظم الحكي عن ريسيرش in general. بس هذا عشان مجرد انه اوريدي الريسيرش is an extra. اتوقع لما تدخل على مرحله الفellowship الكل حيكون عنده بتوقع a little bit of research when they're applying cardiology fellowship. It stands out the fact that you have a master's degree in a prestigious institute. فأظن عشان هيك ممكن نطرح الموضوع أكثر. أنا ما انطرح معي الموضوع، بس كثير حكى عن الريسيرش تبعي وأهدافي بالريسيرش و they were very very interested in that. بس مش in general موضوع الماسترز.
Thanks, Ziad. Thank you. My impression, I could be wrong. If you think of getting an MPH or an MS degree, if you think this will get you a residency spot, I would advise against that. لأنه 95% of people اللي apply على match, they don't have a master degree and they match. So only get a master degree if you are passionate about public health or epidemiology or biostatistics or whatever your master degree is about. لأنه honestly, this is a huge investment. It's a huge investment. It's a huge commitment بالmoney. It's a huge commitment بالtime. And finally, يعني only get a master degree if it fits with your long-term career goal. If you know that you're going the academic route, you want to do, you want to be, for example, an academic hospitalist or whatever. If you think this master degree will fit in your long-term academic goals, and you want to be an independent investigator or researcher, and you know research is going to be a big part of your career in the future, then an MPH or a Master of Science is justified. بينما إذا أنت زلمة، إذا أنت شخص you know you're going to go into private practice and all you're going to care about is is basically doing cases and cathing people and putting stents, and this is yani patient care is your primary interest, and you are not interested in the research aspect of medicine, then I think it's not the best thing to do. لأنه by the end of the day يعني المستشفيات, if you go to private practice, يعني المستشفيات, it's not going to add much to your marketability. It's not gonna make you more appealing than the private practice. The private practice cares about how many cases you can do, how much revenue you're gonna bring to the hospital, which is not the case بالacademic hospitals. The pathway you craft for yourself can also help you make a decision if this is the best thing to do or not. الشغله الثانيه انا حاولت اطلع داتا من الببلشد ليترشر على موضوع انه is there a difference in the number of interviews بين الناس اللي عامله ماسترز والناس اللي مش عامله ماسترز. فللاسف ما لقيت كثير داتا. The only data I have was from medical يعني US graduates. فكل الناس اللي هون اللي بالتابل اللي راح تشوفوه هون almost we have 9,000 applicants. 8,090 منهم كانوا MD only, وفي 400 applicants كانوا MD MPH. If you look down, you can see they have comparable USMLE Step 1 and Step 2 scores. If you look at the characteristics, if you look at the number of interviews they applied to the similar number of programs, but they also got almost similar number of interviews. Based on the data we have in the literature, there is no data to support getting a master's degree will drastically boost your chances of getting into a residency program. This is the only paper I found actually. There is another paper that did questionnaire سألوا البروجرام دايركتورز يرتبوا certain factors حسب الامبورتنس تبعهم بالرانك process. فsurprisingly ما كان بين any of the criteria، ما كان الماستر having a master degree ما كانش واحد من الكرايتيريا اللي بيستخدموه البروجرام دايركتورز لانهم يعملوا رانكينج. فكان في اشياء لها علاقه بالUSMLE سكورز، لها علاقه بالفلونسي ان انجلش، لها علاقه باذا انت عامل electives ولا لا، بالفيزا ستاتس، بالريسيرش، بس ما في انه اي يعني consideration for a master degree. That doesn't mean it doesn't help. I think it does help, but it should not be the sole reason why you should apply for a master degree. الشيء الثاني اللي حابب احكيه انه there might be a competing interest. بمعنى آخر أنت you're gonna dedicate 2 years of your life studying for an MPH or a Master of Science degree. بس هذا الوقت might compete مع الوقت اللي أنت ممكن you can dedicate for research or doing observerships or doing voluntary work. زي ما one of my mentors told me, like publishing 5 major papers in good journals is better than doing a master degree. You know, so your time is precious. Your time is limited and your resources is limited. But the way you think about it is there's always a competing interest with other things you can do with the same time and same resources. والشيء الثاني كمان إنه think about the MPH as a tool. بمعنى آخر, it's a tool to learn epidemiology. It's a tool to advance your research career. It's not a tool just to you want to use it to get to the match, into the end of the match, and that's it. Think about it from that perspective too. MPH during residency gives a huge signal about you as a candidate when you apply for fellowship. It shows resilience, commitment, and dedication. And a few points I want to also highlight why you should not apply or when not to apply for a master's degree. If you are only doing that to get 3 letters behind your name, that's not a reason to get a master's degree. That's not a reason to get an MPH. If having a title or if having the ego to get a degree from a big school is interested بدك اسم هارفارد ولا اوكسفورد ولا جون هوبكنز على السي في تبعك, this is not enough. By itself, this is not enough to get. It's not worth it yet. It's not enough, and it's not worth it it's not enough to pursue a master degree. The MPH is not necessary to match into residency. 95% of the applicants don't have a master degree. The MPH is not necessary to practice medicine. We all know that. And also, MDs can do research. They can do policy. They can do public health without additional degrees. So you need to build a strong case on why you want to invest $70,000 on a master degree based on all of these items. حكينا كمان انه الماسترز will not make you a researcher, it will not make you an investigator, it will not make you a scientist. It's just a tool to help you reach that endpoint. And it will not give you a higher income as a clinician. يعني انت when you're gonna sign a job ما راح يطلعوا يشوفوا هذا معاه MD MPH السالري تبعه مختلف، لا. الشيء I don't know how much time we have. I need to I think wrap up. بس السؤال الثاني اللي ممكن نحكيه, is it doable during residency? I think we saw multiple examples. Abdullah talked about it. It depends how busy your program is, but generally it's a yes. You can do it during residency. You have to be smart about it though. It will require you at least 6 to 10 minimum hours per week of work. You always need to talk to your programs. You always need to talk to your program for so many reasons. But before you talk to your program about doing an MPH, make sure you are doing well clinically. يعني إذا أنت you are an intern and you are still struggling with the system, it doesn't make sense that you go and talk to your PD and tell him, hey, I applied to this program, I'm going to start my MPH next semester. You know, it doesn't make sense. فأنت your priority as a resident or as a fellow is to do well clinically. That's why you are in the US. You are a clinician first. Your program, when you talk to them, they will be proud of you. And they might support you too. They might give you some time to do more scholarly activity, more research time. فأنا بتذكر يعني بالMPH تبعتي I had to go to Boston بهدول بالsummer sessions, والprogram يعني they schedule me on scholarly activity for a whole month of June. فأنا كنت على research block, كنت يعني على مسمى إني بعمل scholarly activity while I was in Boston. They can help you figure out your vacations and help you fit your MPH in your schedule. The application process, I'm going to be quick لأنه زي ما حكيت الوقت داهمنا. The application process هو عبارة عن you go to a portal اسمه SOPHAS, sophas.org, وهو SOPHAS هو عبارة عن ويب سايت للقبول الموحد زي مبدأ الإيراس. الإيراس هو عبارة عن سيستم قبول موحد. SOPHAS هو عبارة عن قبول موحد. You fill in one application and this one application you can send it to every single public health school بأمريكا. يعني إذا أنت بتقدم على جورج واشنطن أو على هارفارد أو على جون هوبكنز, you fill one application and then you send it to all these schools that you selected. الشيء الثاني اللي راح ينطلب منك هو الترانسكريبتس علاماتك بالجامعة. You cannot إنك تطبع علاماتك to print them out to send them via mail. They will not take it. You have to send your transcripts through a verification institute, يعني واحدة من هذول المؤسسات اللي بتعادل لك شهادتك. I think SOPHAS is using a company called WES, World Education Service. Basically you send your transcripts من الأردن ببريد secured ل WES and they بيعملوا معادلة لكورس باي كورس, بيعطوك GPA جديد وبيعطوك يعني a full report about your transcripts, وبيبعتوا هاي الريزلتس لSOPHAS اللي هو موقع القبول الموحد, وانت بعديها once you receive that you can go ahead and submit your transcripts. You need 3 letters of recommendations. You need a personal statement or statement of interest, وعبارة عن صفحة لصفحة ونص. أنت بتشرح فيها why do you want to do this MPH or Master of Science. You need the GRE exam راح نحكي عنه كمان شوي. You need a TOEFL or IELTS. فالسوفاس هو عبارة عن موقع قبول موحد. السايكل بتفتح بشهر 8 من كل سنة بأوغست 15th of August. وكل application أنت you apply for, كل school you select to apply for يعني بتدفع عليها $135. فإذا أنت you applied for 5 programs you have to multiply this by 5. It's an additional cost. That's why you have to be selective. This is how SOPHAS website looks like. You have to have an account there. For your 4 sections primarily, for your section about the personal information, academic history, supporting information, and program material. So you start filling all of these items, and it takes time to fill those items. So you need to start early. And this is where you select all, you have a list of all the master programs in America. You select from them, you can apply some filters either you want based on deadlines, based on the country, the state, the dissemination or the structure, إذا أنت بدك بس online programs. But you can use this SOPHAS tool to look and search for the program that fits your need the most. And again, الميديكال transcripts بتكون عن طريق ويب سايت اسمه WES World Education Service. بيعملوا لك شيء اسمه course by course evaluation. They review كل كورس اخذته انت بالجامعه وبيعطوك equivalent degree. وفاينل equivalent يعني علامه، واخر شيء بيعطوك an average of a GPA from 4 out of 4. طبعا ما فيش شيء ببلاش بامريكا، ف the cost of this course is حوالي $200 unfortunately. الشيء الثاني اللي حابب احكي عنه اللي عبد الله he highlighted is the GRE exam. ال GRE exam stands for the Graduate Record Exam. هو عباره عن امتحان متطلب مطلوب من كل حدا مقدم على ماسترز or PhD programs بامريكا. It's a mandatory. If you want to apply for a master's or a PhD, you have to have a GRE exam. However, رح نحكي كيف هذا الحكي تغير بالبانديميك. طبعا هو الامتحان it's a computer based exam في اكثر من 1000 سنتر بالعالم، وفي بعمان centers where you can take a GRE exam بعمان. again بكلف حوالي $200 و there is no limit to how many times you can take the exam. يعني اذا انت رحت قدمت الامتحان وخبصت فيه you can take it again after 21 days and you can take it again لحد ما تجيب السكور اللي انت بدك اياه. وونس انت جبت السكور اللي بدك اياه it's valid for 5 years. الامتحان بيتكون من 3 sections، واحد منهم quantitative reasoning، واحد منهم يعني mathematics رياضيات، واحد منهم verbal reasoning وanalytical writing. فواحد منهم ف2 sections لغه، one section mathematics quantitative reasoning. فاللي بدي احكيه انه the key message هون انه my experience the programs don't care about what you do in the verbal reasoning or analytical writing. They're gonna focus on the quantitative reasoning. The programs, they want a proof that you will be able to do well in statistics and يعني how you deal quantitatively. These programs are heavy in quantitative analysis. The goal of الناس اللي بتراجع الابلكيشن تبعك to make sure that you are a good fit, you have good quantitative skills. فإذا أنت ما معك وقت تدرس لهذا الامتحان you need to focus على ال quantitative aspect of it. When they report علامتك they report each section separately. فأنت you need to do well in the quantitative reasoning in particular. أنا ما حدا حكى لي هذا الحكي، بس والاكسبيرينس والاكسبيرينسز اللي أنا يعني قرأتها I figured that out. والشيء الثاني اللي حابب احكيه انه انا حكيت انه الجي ار اي مانداتوري. however من لما صار البانديميك وسكرت التستنج سنترز لليوم most programs have waived their GRE requirement. يعني انت هلا بامريكا you can apply for an MPH or masters without a GRE exam for most of the programs I looked up. اذا بتروح على الويب سايت تبع هارفارد، جون هوبكنز، جورج واشنطن، يونيفرسيتي اوف الاباما، كل هاي البروجرامز they waive this requirement. However, they're going to ask you for a proof that you are good quantitatively. although انه you can still apply اذا انت ما عندك بالسي في شيء يثبت انه you are good with by statistics, quantitative skills، يمكن يكون courses انت اخذتها بالجامعه etc. it might يعني affect your chances to be admitted. فit's waived بس it might weigh in a little bit بالdecision making process. التوفل I am not aware of any MDs who had to take the TOEFL. On their websites they always say TOEFL or IELTS are required, but in reality you can always waive this requirement in one of 2 ways. يا بتجيب كتاب من الجامعه تبعتك بانه your teaching your education الام دي ديجري تبعك كله كان بالانجليزي، فممكن تروح على الجامعه الاردنيه او على التكنو wherever you are attending your med school وتجيب كتاب انه الeducation عندكم بالاردنيه او بالتكنو والله باللغه الانجليزيه as a primary language. This is one way. The other way اللي انا عملتها انه I submitted my ECFMG certificate. فانت if you are ECFMG certified submit ال ECFMG certificate. This should be enough for you to waive your language requirement. But this is the second thing to consider. طبعا بالSOFAS they're going to ask you if you have taken your USMLE exams, and they're going to ask you if you are ECFMG certified, and I believe this weighs in the decision-making process. I have no data to substantiate for that. بس الشيء الثاني اللي حابب احكي عنه اللي هو الديدلاينز. Be aware of the deadlines. هاي الديدلاينز معظمها بتكون مرة بالسنة once a year. You don't want to miss your deadlines. Most of the programs have a deadline of December 1st. For Harvard, MPH, John Hopkins, University of Michigan, الديدلاين تبعهم هو December 1st. Tufts University عندهم deadline July 1st. جورج واشنطن الديدلاين تبعهم بجولاي 28 نوفمبر 10. ف if you're really interested, make a list of these deadlines so you can keep a track of things. So once you submit your application by December 1st مثلا, you will hear back from most programs by March. شهر 3 you will receive an email with the decision that you have been admitted or you have not been admitted to the MPH program. قديش بالكم الادميشن ريت لجامعه زي هارفارد او جون هوبكنز؟ So this is a trick. لانه we know انه هارفارد الادميشن ريت تبعها يمكن 1 to 5% بالاندرجراد. بس if you look at the MPH programs, it's really not, it's not as competitive in terms of admission as you might imagine. Admission rate بهارفارد تقريبا 20 to 25%. It's still competitive, but it's not the 5 or 1% that you hear about for the undergrad Harvard admission. Same thing for John Hopkins. I think the admission rate is 30 to 40%. هاي الأرقام هي it's unpublished data يعني and يعني I can't confirm it يعني it's second hand data. الادميشن ريتس بباقي الجامعات طبعا أعلى يمكن توصل 50% بمعظم الجامعات. الشيء الثاني اللي بدي احكي عنه هو الانترفيو. بامريكا ما في انترفيو بروسيس بمعظم البروجرامز. ف when you apply you hear from them by March. In between submitting your application and between الديسيجن ما في انترفيو. The only program as far as I know يعني بمعظم البروجرامز اللي بامريكا the only program where I had to do an interview كان بجامعة أكسفورد. ف I had to do a structured panel interview مع 3 interviewers اللي هم you can see them. There are 3 professors specialized in clinical trials. It was يعني it's a stressful process بس يعني it's just a standard interview. فالأسئلة اللي يعني you can basically it's a standard structured interview. الأسئلة اللي بتنسأل بهاي الانترفيوز are very standardized, simple questions, and they want to know that you are really a good fit to their program. فمثلا يعني basically you can predict what they get. معظم الأسئلة اللي راح يسألوها قبل ما أنت تروح على الانترفيو. فراح يسألوك tell me more about yourself. راح يسألوك why do you want to do a Master of Science in Clinical Trials, and they're going to ask you why Oxford. And for sure the wrong answer is always to tell them that because it's Oxford and because it's a big name. That's not the reason why you should pursue a degree. كثير ناس يعني ممكن يغلطوا هذا الغلط. فالانسر should be شيء له علاقه بالكوريكولم، بالاكسبيرينس، بالتراجكتوري تبعك، بالجول، بالكارير جولز. هذا هو الجواب. الشيء الثالث كمان اللي يعني we don't have much time بس باختصار انه دائما when you go to an interview read very well about الناس اللي انت رايح تقابلهم. ف read about them, مش to read about them يعني where do they work what's their specialty. لا, you need to read about their research. you might be asked about it some way directly or indirectly. فمثلا في this guy, his name is Richard Haynes, يعني he asked me very tricky questions about clinical trials in COVID. He was the first author on the recovery trial اللي هي dexamethasone in people hospitalized with COVID اللي طلعت من جامعة أكسفورد. فبيسكلي indirectly هو سألني عن هاي الترايل. ويعني the night before أنا كنت قارئ عن الترايل تبعته عن الريكفري ترايل اللي أنا I already يعني actually posted about it on social media and on Twitter months before that. يعني it gave me an edge بالinterview إنه I know what he's talking about. I know what's his research interests. I know that he is a PI on this famous clinical trial. I have to know that before I walk into an interview. But my take-home message إنه if you are going to such interviews, you need to be ready, not only ready to answer the questions, but also ready to know about the people you are sitting with, the research interest. If they have landmark clinical trials, you have to know about them. Last but not the least, top 5 tips. بالapplication process, always start early. It takes months to prepare your letter of recommendation, your personal statement, your transcripts, your GRE. This takes months. It's a very lengthy process. Don't be discouraged to apply based on your GPA, GRE, or IELTS. إذا معدلك واطي بالجامعة, that's not a reason not to apply. This is not how they evaluate your package. إذا ما ضبطت بالGRE, this is not the reason why you should not apply. إذا الIELTS تبعك مش منيح, that's not a reason not to apply. Remember, you are an MD, you have a doctorate degree. بأمريكا الMD مش اسمها بكالوريوس في الطب والجراحة العامة. It's a doctoral degree. You have an edge إنه أنت you have a doctoral degree. كمان the way they look at your package, they follow a holistic approach. فهم ما يعني GPA is only one point out of so many other things that they are looking for. I saw people, I know some Jordanian people who were admitted to top tier programs with GPAs of 2.5 and 2.6. Don't be discouraged to do that. بالapplication process, focus on why you are applying. Focus on the why question. You need to build a case for yourself. You need to build a case in your application showing that this is your potential. Using this master degree, I will do this, this, and that. And this is how this master degree will advance my career. You have to show that in your application. That's what they are looking for. And you have to show not only a potential, but also a trajectory. You have to have a story fitting in a very nice way to tell a story highlighting your trajectory. How does this degree fit in your future goals? الإشي الثالث أو الرابع المهم بالapplication تبعك, focus on your quantitative skills. إذا أنت بتعرف programming, إذا أنت عندك statistical analysis skills, إذا أنت بتعرف stata, إذا بتعرف R, إذا بتعرف SPSS, كلها coding programs. إذا أنت عندك research experience, you need to highlight this in your application, in your letters, in your personal statement. You need to show it. You need to make it shine. إنه أنت بتعرف stata. This is a big deal. And the last thing is submit before deadline, even with incomplete documents. So once you fill your SOFAS application, don't wait for the letters. I submitted my application وما معي letters. Submitted applications وما معي GRE still. I was working on them, but I didn't manage to get them on time. Don't. By December 1st, you have to submit your SOFAS application, and then after that, basically you can add on, you can submit your GRE or your letters of recommendation. But don't wait for the full package to submit. Don't lose a whole 1 year cycle just because someone did not upload your letter of recommendations. آخر نقطة رح نحكي فيها هي tuition fees. Graduate degrees are expensive and they can be very expensive. As you guys can see بالتابل هاد degrees ممكن تتراوح بين 30,000 ل 80,000 being it as an online degree doesn't make it any cheaper. The fact that you are getting an online degree doesn't mean it's a cheap degree. فهاي الديجريز تتراوح بين 30,000 ل 80,000. هارفارد MPH كانت 68,000, John Hopkins 80,000, George Washington 81,000, etc. One factor that you might want to consider is something called state resident versus non-state resident. إذا أنت مقيم بالولاية اللي فيها السكول, your tuition fees might be 25% less. فأنت ممكن إنك توفر $20,000 أو $30,000 if you are applying to a school, for example, where you are doing your residency. فمثلا إذا أنت عايش بميشيغان you apply to University of Michigan, your tuition fee is going to be significantly less compared to someone عايش ببoston applying على University of Michigan. But this is something to think of when you are trying to make a decision on which school you want to go to. آخر slide أو one of the last slides اللي هم راح أحكي عن source of fundings. Briefly, في عندنا شيء اسمه intramural scholarships اللي هي عبارة عن scholarships offered by the School of Public Health itself. يعني إذا أنت got admitted to University of Michigan مثلا, بيكون هم جايهم donations من جمعيات من جهات, وهاي donations بيعطوها للطلاب تبعينهم. فمثلا أنا بجامعة هارفارد إجاني almost $34,000 scholarship. I did not apply for anything. I did not ask for a scholarship. They automatically have a fund and they applied this fund towards my tuition fees بعد ما خلصت الفصل الأول. خلصت my first semester, بعتوا لي إيميل, هذا الإيميل بيحكي لي إنه you got a $34,000 scholarship. This is intramural scholarships. What percentage of people get intramural scholarships? A good proportion of them. On one website of one of the schools كانوا كاتبين إنه 40% من الطلاب MPH أو Masters of Science بأخذوا some sort of an intramural scholarship. وهاي السكولارشيب بالعادة بتكون partial, يعني ممكن تكون $10,000 $20,000 etc. الاكستراميولر scholarships ما راح احكي عنها كثير, هي عباره عن يعني you apply لجهات لمؤسسات بتكون موجوده على الويب سايت تبع each school, عندها مجموعه يعني potential scholarships you apply لهم. واحدة من السورس اوف فاندنجز اللي بدي احكي عنهم هي اللونز. We have 3 types of loans. في عندنا البرايفت لونز انك بيسكلي بتروح على بنك و you submit an application for a loan. طبعا اللونز بامريكا كثير اسهل من بلادنا in so many ways. To apply for a loan you need a social security number. فاذا انت عايش في الاردن you cannot apply into a loan here. إذا أنت research fellow, إذا أنت resident, إذا أنت عايش في أمريكا, you should have a social security number. And this is a must or a requirement for any private loan. وكمان they're gonna check your credit score. Based on your credit score, they're gonna make a decision about if they're gonna give you a loan or not. And also they're gonna tell you how much interest you have to pay. الطريقة الثانية من اللونز اللي بنسميها semi private loans اللي هي university affiliated banks. يعني مثلا جامعة هارفارد affiliated مع بنك اسمه Harvard University Employee Credit Union. فأنت when you get admitted راح يبعتوا لك إنه والله إحنا affiliated مع هذا البنك يعني you have an opportunity to apply for a loan. وهاي اللونز ميزتها يعني بتكون connected directly to the school. فحتى يعني once they approve you for such a loan يعني انت ما بتستلم فلوس بايدك. يعني money goes directly from the bank to the school directly based on how many credit hours انت سجلت. فميزتها الثانيه كمان انه الانترست ريتس فيها كثير اقل compared للprivate loans. والثيرد type of loans هي الفيدرال loans. You have to be a US citizen or you have to be a green card holder to be eligible to apply. ميزتها كمان إنه it has a very low interest rates. Other ways to fund your master degree هي through research grants مثل ما عمل زياد راح حكى مع المنتور تبعه و basically المنتور تبعه كان عنده
أنا سكننا إحنا لفترة في الدخل اللي عند المقدسي هذا. ثاني برضه.
فزياد كان عنده كان عنده منتور. هذا المنتور كان عنده I don't know, can you see my slides guys?
Yes.
Cool. فزياد he managed to fund his MPH through his research. حكى مع المنتور تبعه. المنتور تبعه well funded. كان عنده R01 grant قيمتها $2.7 million. So he talked to him and he supported him to the end. Another way to fund your MPH or your Master of Science is through industry. And I never even thought about it until a week ago. كنت بحكي مع يعني زميلة عراقية وكنت بسألها يعني how did she manage to fund her masters بأوكسفورد. فحكت لي through industry. أنا تفاجأت طبعا. فبasically what she did is she wrote letters of interest للbig pharmaceutical companies. مثلا إنه Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Medtronics, Biotronics. هاي الكومبانيز اللي يعني اللي بتحكي بالبليونز. فشي wrote letters. I don't know exactly the pathway for it, but she wrote letters لهدول الناس explaining her situation and explaining why such a funding will be dramatic in her life. It sounds like her mentor was well connected to the industry, or he managed to get some sort of funding for her. So this is one creative way to get some funding. الشيء الأخير اللي كثير ناس ما بيعرفوا عنه هو getting funding through your residency program or your fellowship program. فإذا أنت resident أو fellow university program, you should look this up. من الجامعات أنا راح أعطي بعض الأمثلة بس this is not exclusive يعني. فواحدة من الأمثلة اللي هي University of Toledo. I know for a fact we have few Jordanians who are residents at the University of Toledo, and University of Toledo give them the option to get admitted to University of Toledo MPH program. Or basically it's fully funded 100%, not only for them but also for their spouses. يعني انت وزوجتك تقدروا تقدموا تحصلوا على تكملوا تعليمكم ب University of Toledo تحصل على MPH degree during your residency or fellowship. And this is extremely convenient, you know. So you have to still apply through SOFAS, you have to get admitted, you have to fulfill the requirements. But when it comes to funding, you can fund this through your residency program. الجامعة الثانية اللي أنا سمعت, or I know people who have done MPH or Master of Science actually in clinical investigation, كان جامعة بيتسبرغ. One of my colleagues, actually, he was a cardiology fellow at the University of Pittsburgh, and he managed to get his Master of Science funded through University of Pittsburgh. المثال الثالث اللي سمعته كان من University of Missouri, University of Missouri يعني provide some sort of subsidized tuition fees. يعني بدل ما تدفع $40 ولا $50,000 تدفع $7,000-8,000 to get a master degree during your residency. My point is, or my take-home message is, do not hesitate to reach out to your residency program, to your fellowship program, asking for an avenue for funding. اسألهم. Maybe someone, يعني there is always a way. So حكينا عن الفunding through residency program, وآخر طريقة للفunding اللي هي funding through employment. أنت عملت وذيك, this is a very unique way, again I think زياد talked about it, عبد الله talked about it, اللي هو أنت يعني على بركة الله خلصت الريزيدنسي تبعتك, خلصت الفellowship تبعتك, وأنت you are about to sign a contract as a hospitalist or as a surgeon or as a cardiologist or whatever. part of the package بيحكوا لك إنه this is your annual يعني compensation, راتبك هالقد من هالقد, بيطلع لك sign in bonus $40,000 as an attending, بيطلع لك $1,500 مثلا بدل conferences, بيطلع لك $3,000 انهم الCME allowance. بس في ايتم كثير ناس بنسوه, في شيء اسمه student loan repayment. يعني انت لما تيجي توقع عقد مع مستشفى as an employee كاخصائي, في بند عندهم some hospitals can offer you a student loan repayment. يعني انا I don't know anyone from Jordan who have done that, but I know يعني few American graduates who have done that. So you can always يعني negotiate before you sign a contract كأخصائي بأنه would you guys fund or pay my student loans? So it's a student loan reimbursement or repayment لأنت ماسترز خلصتها ممكن قبل سنة وأنت هلا بتدفع loans على student loans. But this is something to consider. This is how I funded my Harvard education. So tuition fee كان $68,000, طلع لي منحة ب $34,000 عن طريق Office of Financial Aid. I did not apply, they just sent me an email, congratulations. والباقي المبلغ دفعته عن طريق الهارفارد University Employee Credit Union على شكل لون. وزي ما حكيت لكم هم دفعوا مباشرة للجامعة. أنا ما يعني I didn't get any cash in my bank account. هم directly they pay to the university. you pay a monthly installment, مثلا تدفع لك $350 بالشهر يعني على هذا اللون. مثلا بيكون اللون مدة 7 سنوات 8 سنوات 10 سنوات. basically the take home message is you need to have a financial plan since day one. Talk to your residency program. They might have an avenue to fund you. They might have an avenue to help you financially and non-financially. Reach out to industry. Shop for loans. يعني هاي اللونز interest can vary significantly. You have to negotiate your interest rate. Talk to your research mentor if he has a grant, and also ask your employer for funding. And finally, think about the big picture financially. يعني $70,000 $80,000 باللحظة اللي أنت بتقرر I want to do a masters, أو $50,000 باللحظة اللي أنت بتقرر تكون كماسترز, هو رقم كبير إذا أنت راح تضل بالأردن. يعني بالأردن صعب to bring an income إنك تسدد هذا المبلغ. بينما إذا أنت you know your pathway going to be in the US and you let's say you matched and you are now a resident and you're on your way to become an attending, we know إنه $50,000 هدول you can make them in 4 months 5 months as an attending. فأنت financially you also need to look at the big picture and you need to think about your projected income. يعني أنت بعد 3-4 سنوات لما تصير أخصائي قديش الإنكم تبعك, would you be able to commit to this amount of money financially? take home message, these degrees need a commitment. Master degrees are not cheap. Always ask yourself why. Why do you want to do such a degree? Don't think of it as a tool to match by itself, and always think of the big picture. I'm so sorry that this talk was supposed to be like 1 to 1.5 hours. I think we went beyond the timeline, but I think I finished and I'm happy to take any questions.
I can start if nobody else wants to ask a question. شكرا كثير Teebi. I mean, that's extremely impressive. Thank you so much for, you answered almost all of my questions coming into this. Another question I had, you touched on it شوية, حكيت إنك, ما شاء الله you did it in residency. كيف نظمت وقتك? Because, based on the timeline that you showed us with the 10 to 12 hours a week, as a resident, من وين جبتهم هذول 10 to 12 hours? كيف كنت تحضر classes? I'm sure إنه كثير مرات كانوا الأونلاين classes تاعونك يكونوا بوقت أنت بناوب أو بوقت أنت بتشتغل clinically. How did you figure it out?
شكرا رنيم. سؤال صعب صراحة because I don't know how you can manage your time. يعني residency itself is extremely busy. I think إنه أول شيء يعني you need to think ahead. يعني أنت لما تبلش السمستر تبعك you need to think ahead وتكون عارف إنه هذا الأسبوع I can do more. فهم يعني إذا أنت عندك أسبوع busy you are on call versus عندك أسبوع تاني أنت you are less busy. يعني those things balance it out. بمعنى آخر إنه you need to use every moment in your يعني every time you have يعني the program إذا أعطاك وقت تعمل research or you are on PTO you are on vacation, هدول الأوقات أوقات كتير valuable إنك تكمل الأشياء الديفيسيتس اللي عندك بال MPH program. كتير مرات courses I really could not manage to catch up مع الكوريكولم. يعني يغيب 3 أسابيع I was on the CVICU. It's extremely busy. I work 12 hours a day. بس إنه في أسابيع تانية أنت you can catch up and you can carry on with the course. هلا اللي بيصير إنه the program is very clear about what to anticipate. يعني أنت you know in advance, قبل ما يبلش السمستر كامل, مواعيد امتحاناتك, deadlines to submit tasks in advance, months in advance. فباسically لأنه أنت عندك هاي luxury, you know exactly when you have to finish certain tasks, you need to adjust your residency schedule accordingly. فإذا أنت بالCVICU هذا الشهر الثاني أنت عم تعمل outpatient GI clinic, which should be يعني an easier compared to CVICU. You should use the time بهذاك البلوك إنك تعوض. It gets challenging. يعني صراحة في courses I wish I have invested more time learning and more time يعني بالlive classes. هلا الكلاسز هي معظمها بتكون recorded. even if you missed any lecture it's gonna be recorded. هي Zoom lectures بس بالportal you can always يعني access them ويعني after work hours وبالبيت. بس you missed the opportunity إنك تسأل أسئلة, you miss the office hours, you miss هاي الأشياء. It's not easy, بس I think planning ahead is a key. ما بعرف قديش جاوبت من هذا السؤال, بس إذا معنا عبد الله he can jump in too. He's a resident. يبدو عبد الله مش معنا.
That's pretty good. يعطيك العافية. شكرا كثير. صعب صراحة. I mean, yeah. ما عنديش شهر كلينيك GI صراحة.
أنا بقول لك يعني it's not يعني ما كانتش طريق وردية بأي شكل من الأشكال. يعني it's a compromise. يعني it's a compromise. إنك الوقت تبعك اللي بدك تروح فيه ساعة على الجيم أو ساعة إنك تطلع to hang out أو إنك والله تروح for a vacation. يعني many times you don't have this luxury. أنا بالسنة الأولى I was an intern, فكنت خايف إنه البروجرام يعني ما يكون supportive لإلي. I need to go to Boston بشهر 6. طب شو بدي أعمل؟ حطيت كل الPTO كل الفاكيشنز تبعوني بهديك السنة حطيتهم بشهر 6. فأنا داومت وبشهر 6 رحت على بوسطن وداومت بالبروجرام من الساعة 7 الصبح ل 5 المساء. I had a full year without a single day of vacation. فأنا ما بقول لك إنه it was يعني rosy road. يعني طريق بالعكس يعني there is a lot of challenges. بس يعني if you are interested and if you think يعني the big picture والvision تبعتك that this is something you eventually will benefit from. يعني it might be worth the compromise. طبعا بالسنه الثانيه البروجرام اعطاني شهر سكولرشيب، يعني اعطاني شهر ريسيرش، فانا I used this time يعني a full month to go to Boston to attend the classes. بس السنه الاولى انا كنت intern ويعني I did not have a single day of vacation in my internship year. You know رنيم قديش الانترنشيب year يعني brutal. Any other questions? طيب أنا I will leave my email بالجاب post. يعني if anyone has any questions I'm happy to يعني to chat and to try to help as much as possible. I think we can conclude. Thank you guys. Thanks for joining me, and I really apologize for going beyond the timeline for this talk. وشكرا جزيلا لكم يعني. Thank you.
يعطيك العافية، شكرا كثير.
عفوا. Recording. I'm gonna stop recording here.